All right, let's get her going here. Jam-packed today. No, I'm serious.
Yeah, we are.
We have got a huge show.
Galactic, even.
As Doug McLean would say, being a maritimer, huge show. Huge show. Colonel Chris Hadfield, guys. Come on.
Guys.
That's a
Don't
star.
panic.
We got an astronaut on our show at the top of the hour.
I would argue the biggest guest in show history.
Yeah, certainly is to me.
We did have Wayne Gretzky on once, which is pretty cool. But this is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, and I commit to not talking about the Leafs fourth line with him. That's my commitment to everyone.
But you a space guy?
Big space guy.
Yeah.
Like
I was a space guy too before I even discovered hockey. Like my first helmet was a space helmet.
What do you mean?
Yeah, when I was a kid.
Okay.
Right?
What do you mean as a
And
space
I used to
helmet?
what's that?
What's a space helmet to you?
Like an
an
astronaut.
astronaut
You put a helmet on and it's got the tinted visor.
Okay.
And then you think you can go around and smash your head against the wall and you figure out that it's not as protective as a hockey helmet. Other than knocking myself unconscious a couple of times.
Yeah.
It was kind of cool thinking about being an astronaut.
I got my daughter who's 6 coming home from school talking about the Artemis II. We're in a sort of a space renaissance.
Space has always bent my brain to the point where it really scares me and I don't really like thinking about it a whole lot.
I totally get that. Where you're like, this is just too...
It's too expansive and too big to think about.
Think about like your own mortality.
I'm like, why am I doing what I'm doing right now? None of this matters.
It really will diminish the importance of the rest of the show.
Anyways, tune in for Chris Hadfield.
That was a black hole of a conversation.
Yeah, that's for sure. My brain's a black hole, brother.
Okay, so we got this space mathematician astronaut and the three of us asking him questions.
I know. We're going to...
Is it too late to cancel him just to kind of save ourselves?
Totally.
From being complete idiots?
I feel like Chris Farley, there's an old SNL skit where he interviews Paul McCartney and he's like, when you guys used to do that, that was awesome. That was awesome. That's the questions. That's kind of how I'm going to be.
Okay. Can't wait for that one. Brian Lawton will also join us in the national show. We'll talk to Arthur Staple, of course, as the Leafs prepare for the New York Islanders. In the meantime,
the DeBoer era starts tonight for the Islanders.
Their first go at it.
The reason why we were able to form such a great show today was because we had all day yesterday to think about it, which included the three of us going to play golf at Burlington Springs.
Team meeting yesterday.
We had a team meeting where I thought we were crazy at first, and you were almost going to bail on us. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I was close. I had stuff to do that I just chose not to do.
I'm a very committed person, and when I commit to something, I usually say, yes, I'm doing it. Yeah. But I walked Lou Dog at 7 a.m., and I was like, Jesus, I don't know if I can do this. It was cold.
So for those of you that hopefully are watching on YouTube or on one of our many platforms at Sportsnet, I took a few pictures. Do we have? This was my very first picture of Sammy sleeping.
I was having a quick eye close. I was having an eye close. It was nice out.
Yeah, very nice. Sammy, wake up. That was our birdie where it plugged.
It actually doesn't do justice to how close your ball is there.
Actually, I was going to say, we gave him that? I would have liked to see that.
You made me
on the bone there.
You made me putt this one. And then, of course... there's the three of us. We did manage to find the owner, but this picture with the owner did us no good because we had already paid by then.
We dropped the ball on that.
Right?
Still, I got to tell you, to play golf April 8th, beautiful sunny day. God, that made me feel human again.
Yeah, it was really nice to be
What a
out
winter
there,
we've had here.
Ice. I took a picture of ice.
Literal ice.
This is a full photo album.
This is awesome.
I wish they could move the slides a little faster for us a little
probably
bit.
Couldn't have walked across
there we
there.
go.
The Burlington crew.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks to everybody out at Burlington Springs.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Final scores?
Yeah, Kip did bring it in.
79, 8?
Yeah, somewhere in there.
You were
I
80.
think it was 80.
I hobbled my way around to an 87.
You legit had the Kaiser Soze walk going, though. Bad ankle for Sammy.
I really did sprain my ankle, and I thought it was better, and I thought it was improved in time. And then I kind of was feeling the night before. I'm like, God, this isn't feeling good. And I'm like, I'm just going with it. After the first swing, I was like, it's going to be a long day, but we fought through it.
Didn't ask for a card or anything.
All right, glad everybody's on board.
Yeah.
Sportsnet 360, 590 The Fan, in Toronto, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Sportsnet Plus, loaded today. The Toronto Maple Leafs, of course, there was a game last night.
How'd it go?
Not sure how much you watched or how close you were. Sammy, you did Leaf post-Leaf?
Yeah, me and Ailish did Leafs talk last night. We talked a lot about Max Scherzer drinking margaritas and talked a lot about Ovi.
I thought
that was our show.
Oversalted.
Oversalted?
Yeah, oversalted.
Yeah. Do you think he did it himself or they handed him the salty
No, definitely.
Self-salting?
No.
Oh.
No, I think someone just loaded him up a little bit.
Back in your day, margarita guy?
No.
Oh, margarita is my favorite drink.
Yeah.
If I'm going to have a mixed drink or any kind of drink, margarita is
I'm
number
right
one.
there with you.
So I was
margarita.
never opposed to it. I would never choose one.
No?
No.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
it. Whenever I come back from Mexico, I have heartburn because I drink so many of them.
Fair enough.
All right, Leafs staring at another back-to-back. Islanders tonight, but last night, outside of a game that wouldn't inspire anybody.
No, but it was exactly what was supposed to happen. Right?
Yeah.
Both teams got the result they were looking for, presumably the Capitals.
Yeah.
Nice 4-0 win. Unfortunately for the Leafs, everyone got hurt. So Stolarz, a non-contact knee injury. Boys, that's not good.
Do you want to go
it's
to
knee?
Craig Berube updates first, and then we'll come out of it?
I'm not sure.
Let's go to
Yeah, we'll play.
Craig Berube's. Clip 1, Kyper's Clippers.
As of now, his lower body, he's out.
Is there any chance he'll play again this season?
There could be. I don't know right now. I'll get some imaging done.
Plan B, Hildeby, who played today, or Aktimov, who's back?
AA's coming up.
And how about the other two, Joshua?
They're out tomorrow.
Yeah, it's Joshua and Carlo.
Do you know who's coming? Luke and Haley back?
Haynes coming up. Villanove's coming up. As of right now. And AA.
There you go. There's your comprehensive injury updates from last night.
Everything I was about to say?
Yeah, I was
You
surprised.
took all your
You guys must have been really surprised to see Stolarz go down like that.
You say it like we've been vouching for the picture of health that is Anthony Stolarz. It's sad at this point, but the limbs aren't. He's got a loose person. What do they call it? What was the phrase they used last year?
A pebble.
A body.
A pebble.
Loose body in his knee.
It's just, I've never seen anything like that before, and I'm not talking about the actual incident last night because obviously
Loose body.
Yeah.
Goalies can do a lot of things that aren't that noticeable to the naked eye, but for such a recurring theme on this guy in his career, and he's fought battles like for 10 years now, but is just everything coming to a head now.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, you hope this is not anything dire. You'd love for him to have a normal summer ahead. Yeah, I'll be honest, one of the things that I'm concerned about, we talked about them getting different this offseason and making changes. This is one of the guys, Kip, that you had talked about being an option for trade.
Yeah, that's over.
Right. Like,
It's done.
No
longer an option.
Because of last night.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's there. If there was a chance, any chance at all, he would need to be in the last year of a contract where the Leafs could even eat $750 or $1 million to try to pull a third rounder from somebody, a fourth rounder at some point next year. He hasn't even started a 4-year deal, guys.
Yeah.
How could you possibly move him? Who would take that chance after watching what they saw last night?
No one.
Yeah, no one. The good news is you hope that salary he's earning, can he play 30-some games a year and just be the guy that he's been for all these other teams? And
the answer's like, you don't want that.
Well,
you don't want that because you don't even know about the 30 games.
Yeah, I think you and I sit differently on the Stolarz thing. Like, to me, it's when he's available, he's one of the better guys in the league. can you play him as a backup?
We've had these. This has been going on for a year and a half, and you keep saying the same thing, and he keeps getting hurt.
Yeah.
So at what point do you just say, I'm kind of wrong on this?
Well, I'm not wrong because he's going to play another 30 however many games. No, listen. How many games did he play this year? He's 34 last year. He's going to get 30 in this year. Yeah. Played 27 the year before.
And
it's kind of what he plays.
That's worth $3+ million.
Probably not.
The
given your
contract's
choice.
a disaster.
Yeah, it's not ideal. I can tell you that.
It's
Listen,
not
I don't
ideal.
like it. I just don't think it's a disaster. It's a matter of why would you eat money to flip it if this guy, unless you think he legitimately just can't play hockey.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what. No, we know he can play hockey, and we know he's good at it, but we just don't know what's going on between the head and the body.
I wonder if there's a point where it's some guys just physically insurance money, and I just can't play in the NHL. Physically, it's not. My body will not do it. I don't know, but it's trouble.
I don't know. I think disaster for the contract is a strong word. The cap's going up a whole bunch. I'm not trusting Joseph Woll to be the other guy in the tandem because you're worrying about his availability too.
Yeah, you don't want two guys.
Stolarz is the guy that if you're going to put him as a quote unquote backup or whatever, like Bourne said, what's Kevin Lankinen make in Vancouver? There's goalies all over the league that make
he's
bad
not
money.
helping Vancouver either.
Well, no, I'm just saying that
he's no good either all year.
It's not great that he hasn't played a game on this contract. You're not going to be able to trade him.
You're
That's
just
horrible.
filling in. You're just filling in, and you're just putting a Band-Aid over an issue that you're kicking down the road.
Well, you're not getting rid of this guy. He's part of the team. So he's probably...
you can get rid of him.
Well, you just said you can't.
Well, no, you can't trade him. I'm saying you can't trade him. You can't bring value in. You can still say, we're moving in a different direction. We're going to slide your contract down to the Marlies. If you can stay healthy there, we're going to go find something else. We're going to move on.
Okay. I mean, if that's what you think they're going to do.
No, it's not what I think that they should do. I think that's what they should probably be looking at. I don't know. They could go the Justin Bourne way and hope and pray again that next year will be different. I don't know what they're going to do.
The one thing that it does do that I don't like is it puts you in a spot where you kind of have to carry three goalies. Because, I don't mind Hildeby as your backup. All right, Stolarz isn't available. Hildeby's good. One of these three guys, you feel pretty good. Someone's going to be there for you. But I get the idea that you need to know. You need to know, is this guy going to be there for me at the end of the day? And maybe something they'll have to consider. I guess at worst, you put him on LTIR and you're Woll and Hildeby. I don't know.
I think you can have one guy like him. Yeah. You can't have both your goalies be that. That's the thing.
Oh, and it's just the ripple effect in the room too, right? Okay, we can all lose. We win together. We can all lose together. But I've lived it. I've been on benches. I've been in the back of the bus. The guys are rolling their eyes. Okay, they're rolling their eyes, going, okay, what is going on here? Yeah,
we have Berube on Stolarz, right?
And to your point, Kyper, what you just made there, that one that you just said right this second. Listen to this clip from the coach when he got asked about Stolarz's kind of bad luck.
It was tough. I mean, I feel for Joe Woll having to go in there too, but obviously he did something to and couldn't go. It's unfortunate. He's been hurt a few times this year, but we'll see where he's at.
Sounds really broken up about it.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's no other way to determine that clip other than the fact that he's I'm sick.
His first thought was, I feel bad for Joe Woll.
Totally.
Right?
And
from your
they also
perspective,
want him out.
Yes.
They also want him out right now.
Yeah.
It's he's a guy who can pitch a 960 on any given night. And it's all right, let's throw AA in there. Let's put in Twerberg, which, by the way,
not
pronunciation, not saying the V, it is Twerberg, according to our very cursory research. Yeah, you're going to get Hames tonight. You're going to get a whole bunch of, hey, we're finally trying to lose a couple games.
But this is the ultimate hindsight take. But I think we can have it because we've been saying shut guys down all year long. Stolarz, after he got hit in the throat with that puck, there was an opportunity there to be he's hurt. Go away, get healthy, be ready for the start of next year. We don't need you down the stretch here. And then he doesn't play here. This situation with his lower body doesn't happen, and he still has a modicum of trade value. And you're like, hey, if you just shut them down like you should have shut down everybody, you wouldn't have been in this situation. But instead, you were trying to win every night for some godforsaken reason.
It is.
Anyways.
It is really frustrating.
So frustrating.
Looking at them be like, we should maybe try to get in the bottom 5. And it's like, what?
January 30th, you wrote the article.
Where have you been?
Pre-Olympics, you wrote the article.
Yes. Here we are.
Are we close now?
Buddy, so close.
We're just...
Sixth. They're one team to drop below now.
Okay, do we have a standings by chance?
I don't know if we gave them enough heads up on that, Jake.
That's okay.
You're up there.
That's all right.
But just Frank the Tank up
Frank
there.
the Tank. But they have 78 points.
Oh,
Here we go.
God, Frank's good.
They've extremely good. 75 is the Rangers, and 75 is the Seattle Kraken in the other division. One of those two teams, Seattle and the Rangers, needs to get more points than the Leafs. Now, the Rangers have more regulation wins, so even tying the Leafs would put them in the bottom 5.
4 points then.
Well, 3.
No, but they need a tie's no good, right?
No, tie's good for the Leafs.
Oh,
with the
okay,
Rangers.
all right.
Yeah, the Rangers
Okay.
with the Rangers,
Gotcha.
and I'm not sure Seattle on the other side. Seattle 75 points. Seattle, I think, has 5 games to play still. So, there's
The
lottery,
Seattle Kraken and Toronto
could
Maple
push
Leafs.
them to 6 if they're 5th at the end of the year.
and is more likely to push them to 6th than anything else. Yes, here's the other side. Seattle at 75 points.
Jesus, the Canucks.
God, the Flames could get weird too if they wanted to, but probably not.
And the Kraken have 31 regulation victories, the exact same amount of regulation victories as the Toronto Maple Leafs.
All right.
So there you go.
So the
Oh no, that's a lie. I lied to you, both of your face. Way less than that.
okay.
Way less than that. The Leafs have 23 regulation wins. I was thinking that was high. Kraken have 25. So they're behind them
the
too.
tie breaks
Yeah.
in the bad way. But
So just tonight is a excellent game to lose.
Islanders
second
are dying for wins.
Dying for wins. All the Marlies. So I'm banking on the hot L tonight. Saturday against the Florida Panthers is arguably the biggest must-lose game in the history of this franchise.
it is. They've got the same amount of points as the Leafs.
Yes.
Leafs are worse than them based on the tiebreak, but it's a massive must lose.
I'm looking last night. They flashed up that stat on the broadcast. I sent a tweet about it, about their numbers this year. And there's shots against 32.5 last. Slot shots against 16.7 last. Rush chances against 7.8 last. Cycle chances against 12.1 last.
How
And
can you defend the coach at that point?
That for sure. But the season that Toronto Maple Leaf fans have had to live through without the promise of the pick on the other end is a special kind of torture. And I'm looking at this draft, and right in the 5, 6, 7 range is this Chase Reed kid, defenseman out of Sault Ste. Marie, this Carls out of the Western Hockey League, who's a 6'2" puck mover, this Verhoff. Exactly what they've needed for the last decade is right there in the spot that they would potentially be drafting if that pick was not protected, or picked top 10 protected. So it's tough. It's really tough.
Doesn't feel good.
No.
The Toronto Maple Leafs granted permission to talk to Panthers assistant GM Sonny.
I'm doing
Meta.
Meta.
Okay, let's do Meta.
I saw some Mitha.
Mita?
I saw some Mita. I've seen a lot of different things.
This guy is becoming a rock star in a very short period of time here.
Yeah.
Because there's a sense that the New Jersey Devils, who are very analytically driven and not in favor of Tom Fitzgerald moving forward, he completely fits the bill in New Jersey.
Yeah. That ownership group, that's exactly what they're looking for.
I mean,
here's what I don't get, unless you got something you're going to say there.
No, you go.
Here's what I don't get. They're not going to hire him here in Toronto to be the president, right? There's zero chance, right?
No.
So why are they, or how are they interviewing him unless they're not going to have a president? You would have to have a president first who wants him. So to me, that's the most important part of the search is you can't do the backwards hiring. So you got to find a president first. And then to even know if that guy wants Sonny Meta. So to interview him now to me is like, I guess, how does that work?
But the answer I have is I haven't got a clue.
Okay.
I haven't got a clue.
Okay.
So I don't know, and they've never stipulated that they are looking for a president of hockey ops.
But don't you think it would be crazy to hire an analytics guy?
Yes, I do.
And no president?
I do. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And, I'm not sure what they think that they're getting out of Sonny as a general manager now to go to that next level. Like, I think you talk to anybody in Florida, they will honestly tell you that he's put a wonderful program together that's given us wonderful projections, but he hasn't found us one player. He's never scouted, okay? Ever. He's never negotiated any contracts. He's brought them information on projections.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure how that takes him to the next level of being a general manager in the National Hockey League.
I think there's different ways to be a general manager, right? There's going to be big personalities and guys who played and whatever. And I think, the Carolina example is one of different ways to do it. I've read and heard things about his ability to dig guys up in projections, and Jesper Bratt was one of those guys for the Devils who was a late round pick that he was like, hey, this guy's way higher on my board than everyone else's that they found. I also think that that's why you do interviews. Can this guy talk to people? And I know him personally and a very, very little bit, and he's a charming guy. I think sometimes we make the job out to be more complicated than it is in some ways. And I think he's a smart dude. I'm sure he can handle it. But I do think that you need someone who's been there, has some experience. I would never say he should be it without some help.
I think the thing that worries me right now is there's the Devils now have permission. The Leafs have quote unquote permission. There's lots of teams. I mean, Seattle just got rid of, or I guess Ron Francis stepped down or whatever the process of events were. Nashville's looking for somebody. It feels like as soon as the Leafs job opened up, everybody else started gunning everybody. I worry that they're going to make a quick, rash decision that gives him too much power because they want to get him in here because all their fans think it's the right thing to do. And, Keith Pelley said that he's been listening to fans and talking to fans. That's a big part of the stuff that he's been doing. Like, I just hope they don't rush into this because he's super sought after.
I wrote an article today for the Toronto Star, and I talk about that the first objective is not going into a panic hire.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But
that's how I feel right now.
See, I'm worried on the other hand, though, that
they're going to wait too long.
That they're going to wait too long. That they're going to do an exhaustive search. They're interviewing him for GM, even though they don't have a guy above him. Eventually, you got to put someone in place so they can make a decision on a GM. Not that many names out there that people are desperate for.
But based on their timetable right now, it doesn't appear like they're going in that direction of hurrying, and I totally support it. I do.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, if there's somebody out there like a Pete DeBoer and you knew that the Toronto job was open, but you weren't willing to lose the Islander job, then go take the Islander job. Mm-hmm. I'm okay with that. I'd rather lose a guy like that than hurry to make a wrong decision.
Totally. And I don't know, and you don't know, and Sam doesn't know what Sonny Maeda would be as a GM. No idea.
I kind of know.
You do.
And listen,
that bothers me. You don't have a clue.
I do have a clue. I do.
You don't know what he does.
I
you don't know who
I don't base it on Sam.
You base it on hearing the word analytics.
No, I don't. I base it on knowing this market. Okay? I don't know Sonny.
No.
Okay? I don't know a lot of people, but I know this market.
Okay.
And I know how it could spit you out and chew you out. And if you're not equipped, if you don't know exactly what you're getting
and you've
into,
decided he isn't.
Yeah, I've decided he's too inexperienced. He's got no media savvy. And you can sit there and say, hey, it's all the same. GM in Carolina, GM in Columbus, GM in Toronto.
That's not what I said. Don't put that in my mouth.
No.
I never said that.
So you're telling me that there's a big difference between Toronto and Columbus? Because,
yeah.
Okay, so you tell me what the biggest difference is.
Well, the media market.
Us.
Yes.
Us.
Yes.
Okay? Tulsky doesn't have a real Kyper Bourne show doing this every day.
No.
Okay?
Yeah.
Tulsky wouldn't last 5 minutes here. Not 5 minutes. I'm telling you right now.
Because we're so mean, full of teeth. Ugh.
We would pick them apart. We would.
I don't give myself that kind of credit I'm smart enough to pick apart their decisions.
It just happens. It just happens in this town. Yeah. And you gotta have all your ducks in order. You got to know exactly what you're getting into.
You got to get a hockey guy like Brad Treeliving, who's been through it and been a GM with experience.
No, you don't. It's not one or the other. And I wrote that in my article today. Brian Burke came in here in 2000, I believe, in 8.
That's the opposite of Sonny Maeda.
There was nobody more experienced. Stanley Cup. He was at the highest of the mountain. And after 4 years, it kind of spit him up and chewed him out.
And so that to you is proof that someone with all the experience.
And I'm not saying it's one or the other.
Needs to be that guy.
I'm not saying necessarily. I'm saying that you better understand what you're getting yourself into in this particular market.
How do you think Dubas handled it here?
Dubas was okay early, and then it got away from him a little bit because of the friction between him and Brendan. Yeah. And at the end of the day, he got caught in a lie. He got caught in a lie at the end of the day in this media market. That lie would have worked in Carolina. It would have worked in Columbus. Here, he got caught in a lie.
I don't know the lie, but I don't
I'll
want
tell
to
you the lie.
His terms.
My family, I don't know if I'm going to GM next year. We had this conversation, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And it was all BS.
He didn't care about his family in reality?
He cared about the negotiation and getting power above all, and he never got it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't about his family. It was never about his family, but he brought his family up.
I don't know that. I mean,
you were there. You listened to it.
Yeah, and we're going to sit here and say that it was never about his family. Like, I don't feel comfortable saying that. I don't know.
Well, not as far as the feeling that he may not GM next year. We always knew he had the GM job in Pittsburgh. That was in his back pocket. Come on.
I don't know.
Listen, we can sit there but split hairs on certain things. But my whole point in all of this is you better know this market really well before you think you can step into it and just go about your daily business of projections.
Yeah.
But who do you think it should be then? Because I'm not all in on Maeda, but I'm definitely not as against it as you are. So what is the
I'm just. It's exactly what you just said. Is that it's the horse before the cart? Mm-hmm. It's exactly what you say. I'm not saying Sonny's I wouldn't hire Sonny, and I'm not saying he's not brilliant in what he does. I'm just saying that you want to put him as the head. You want to put him as the face of the franchise. Mm-hmm. No, not for me. Not experienced enough.
And I want to clarify my opinion or take on this too. Is that I don't know that he would be good. I don't. I have no idea. I don't really know what he does or much about him either.
I'm comfortable enough in my experience of covering this team and being a part of this industry for 40 years plus years that it won't. I believe it won't fare well. I'm not saying I know it for sure. Of course, there's a chance. Yeah. But I kind of like history repeating itself on this one.
It's just. We have seen the most experienced men, and Brian Burke's a good example where it doesn't.
But Brian made mistakes because he didn't know the market well enough here. He didn't.
Okay.
He got in fights with the media that he shouldn't have. He lost his focus on a few things, and it derailed on him pretty quick.
One of the things here, and this would be my general takeaway, is that you can't win if you're them. So don't try to win. Like you're not going to please everyone. Our take does not have the same, or our show does not have the same bent as some of the other shows out there, maybe a more analytically inclined podcast or a more grunt inclined one. We're not all going to have the same takes. You make one decision, it's going to get ripped on this side, not ripped on that side. It's almost like politics. So you can't try. I felt like Tree tried to make everyone happy, and you can't.
It's exactly like politics.
Yes, it is. And so you kind of have to say, they hired me to make my decisions because here's how I lean. So we're doing it that way. And then one show can hate them for years. And another show can be like they never make mistakes. And I think we know people who love Dubas and never changed, never wavered off that. We know people who hated Dubas and no matter what he did, never wavered, right? He was the most politically tied GM in my time here.
100%.
Well, he talked himself into a job too, right?
Yeah. I mean, part of his charm is convincing people that he could do it.
Be a talker.
So
everything's great.
Whoever's next
Yeah.
just can't get caught up in trying to please everyone.
My answer is that you got to put a team together and you got to trust each other. You got to empower each other. They have to be of the
Front office team.
Front office team.
But that's what they tried to do now, and they got 17 different people that are assistants.
Where do they do it?
Go look at the team page.
I mean, having a lot of people doesn't mean they're trying to do it.
But I mean, what is for you the ideal number of people, Kyper, for a front office that are making the key decisions? Two or three?
I think the high point of the Leafs office administration was probably 130 people. And if you look at the last few Stanley Cup teams, they probably averaged 45.
That's crazy.
But yeah, I guess I meant like in terms of the final decision making, like how many people should be in that room.
Yeah, I think there should be two for sure, and not that Sonny can't be one of them. But I still think that at this point, if you're trying to turn this thing around in 12 months and get back in the playoffs, yeah, you're probably going to have to go get somebody with some experience.
Yeah,
too.
I do think that it's, the old rising tide raises all boats. Like the Florida wins, and they go, who can we get? What are they doing? What's the
it's
secret
just not
sauce?
the two of them, too. They got to go back. And the number one thing, whether it's Sonny or somebody else or just one of them, get some scouts. Get some people that can find talent.
Mm-hmm.
So who's the brother last night?
Ilya
Bukala?
Protas.
Get Bukala in there.
Yeah, get booked.
Actually, no.
Ilya Protas.
Protas.
I need him
Okay.
for our show.
Brother. 17-year-old brother, 18-year-old brother.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's looking at him.
6'6",
Like,
225.
third round. We're the Leafs to jump in on that, or find somebody like that. Who have they really found in 10 years?
Hey, 2020 draft between 100 and 200. Tonight, AA, Twerberg, and Hames, all mid-round
Can
Leafs
one of them
picks.
step up and turn themselves into a top 6 or top 4?
I got Twersy.
If one of
Right?
them's going to, out of that group, you'd have AA the goalie because they're unpredictable.
Build
and then
a
Hames
new-
has had a nice college.
Build a new scouting staff, please.
Really, yeah. Okay.
Please.
No, hey, they don't. The track
Start
record.
there. And it may take 18 months, may take 24.
Mhm.
But, God, look at the Montreal Canadiens, boys. Like they're in 10 years.
Yeah, but they've
for the
also
next
had
10 years.
They've also had multiple first-round picks every round to take shots. The Leafs have been in their competitive window where they're trading them away.
Yeah.
That's what.
So-
That's what
Nice
every good
that
team
one,
does.
right?
Take some time then and just get them back then.
For sure. But like,
Get
I'm
those
not
picks back.
I'm not going to fault. I mean, I'll fault who they traded them for. But every team that's in their competitive window at trade deadlines trades their first-round pick every year. That's what happens. Like Tampa traded a whole draft class for Tanner Jeannot. Like teams trade away their first all the time. It's what you do in the second and the third and the fourth and all that. But I guess it's time to start building back and we should go.
All right, let's take a quick break. We'll tee up the Toronto Maple Leafs and the New York Islanders when we return after these words. Welcome back to the program. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. All right, let's welcome in Arthur Staple, co-host of the Tri-State Hockey Pod, Hockey Night, New York. Arthur, how are you, my friend?
Good, boys. How we doing?
We're good. There's a pulse for the Islanders?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know if it's going to matter, but there's something now. It's very unlike the old Islanders to be this aggressive, and from my vantage point, it was good to see. You know, I think if Matthew Darche had determined, no matter how the season ended, that Patrick Roy wasn't going to be the guy for them going forward, you got to jump the line of the waiting teams at the end of the season. That's the way it works now. We see it with executives around the league. We see it with coaches in Vegas. You know, it's not a coincidence that Lou Lamoriello ran this team until last year, and he pioneered this late season coaching switch. So I don't know if it's going to work for this year, but I think it's a positive sign for this team.
Just in terms of the timing of the firing, Arthur, and just was there a wave, a vibe, anybody anticipating anything? Because it really kind of shocked me, and I think it shocked many on why so late. Is there a thought of one incident that may have brought this on?
I think those last two games, Friday and Saturday, where they didn't get a shot on goal, I think in the first 12 minutes of the game at home against Philly, obviously a team that was chasing them at the time now is ahead of them. And then the next night when they need a response, I think the shots were 32-6 midway through the third period, even though it was a one-goal game in Carolina. Those are just, I just think it's unacceptable. It's sort of, it shows that, you know, everybody wants to say, oh, the coach, they tuned him out, they lost the room. I think they just hit the wall. And really, after that game on Saturday, 10-10 since the Olympic break, giving up way too many goals. You know, I think Ilya Sorokin and Matthew Schaefer and a couple other guys really papered over some season-long issues with D-zone defense, with the power play. And I don't think that, you know, I don't think Patrick Roy threw up his hands, but I think he was maybe out of ideas with a group that they had, and that sort of signals that even if the roster isn't good enough, you're probably going to have a change coming, and that's the place you can make that change.
So they didn't give him a whole ton of runway to work with here to try to climb back into the playoffs. But what have the past few days looked like with the Islanders? What has DeBoer been doing? Is there anything we know about changes they want to make?
I mean, I think the lineup is the lineup. It doesn't seem like there's going to be a ton of changes. He's not coming in and saying, oh, this guy should be here, this guy shouldn't be playing. You know, 4 games is 4 games. I think it's just more getting back to basics. You know, I think it's part of what Matthew Darche said is Peter DeBoer brings structure. You know, and I really, I genuinely think this is a move to try to goose their slim chances these last 4 games. But this is much more for next season and beyond. He's gotten a 3-year deal. Beyond this year, I've heard it's pretty north of $5 million per. So he's now one of the highest paid coaches in the league. And I think not just hiring a guy that you want to have as your coach, the first coach that Matthew Darche is hiring, but it sends a message. The Islanders are now paying Patrick Roy not to coach for the next 2 years. That's a big chunk of money. They're now in the top 5 in terms of coach salaries with Peter DeBoer. I'm sure he might make some changes to that coaching staff going into next season. It's a big offseason for this team. I think ownership from Scott Malkin on down to the minority owners to Matthew Darche is sending the message that we're not messing around. You know, we thought we were just going to evaluate at the beginning of the season. We didn't know what we had in Matthew Schaefer. It's been amazing to see what he's done. Ilya Sorokin playing at his highest level maybe of his entire career. So now it's on the front office and ownership to create a roster that Peter DeBoer can take to that next level. So I think we're pointing more towards beyond these next 4 games. Even if they win them all and they get some luck and they get in, great. That's a couple of playoff gates for the Islanders, which is always important. But I think this is much more about what's to come when the season ends, when we get closer to the draft, what they can do with some of their assets and turn this team into a team that's got a little bit more offensive potential and a little bit more sturdiness in their own end.
You're watching and listening to Arthur Staple covering the New York Islanders, the Leafs and the Islanders tonight. Regardless of what happens here moving forward, do we expect an active off season? I look at this roster, I don't know, 6-7 guys, mid-30s.
Yeah.
How many new faces, regardless of what happens, do you think we'll see by September for Peter DeBoer? Active?
Yeah, I do. And I don't know if as much about who they can bring in. I mean, there were plenty of rumors and talk out there. Matthew Darche took a lot of swings before the deadline. Jordan Kyrou's name was mentioned. Maybe Robert Thomas's name was mentioned. Maybe Brock Besser. I'm sure there's going to be other guys that they can talk about to get a scorer, particularly a scoring winger, into their top 6. But I think for me, it's more about who's going out of this core group that's been together a long time. You've got Scott Mayfield, who I believe has 4 years left on his deal. Is he tradable? Is he a buyout candidate? Adam Pelech and Ryan Pulock have been here for a long, long time. The days of being the mainstay shutdown top pair are over, but they're both still pretty effective. I think Pelech got 3 years left at 5.75, a little bit less of no trade than Pulock does. Maybe Adam Pelech, you can find a new home for him because you've got Alex Romanov coming back off the injury that caused him to miss most of this year. And I think up front, they did trade for Braden Shen, who's got a couple more years. They did re-up JG Pajot, which may have been a bit of a head scratcher for some people to lock in guys nearing their mid-30s for the next couple of years. So you look at who you could move, and for me, one name, it's not preferred, but Matthew Barzal. Do you start to see his name pop up this summer, where changing up that forward group to get it to be a little bit more goal forward, a little bit more, just a little bit more focused on offense, where they see their power play at sitting 29th, 30th pretty much the whole year. Can you get a lot back from Matthew Barzal? Can you get someone back that's going to be a difference maker in a way that he hasn't been able to be, even though he's had such a great 9 years here? So I think a lot is on the table that maybe people wouldn't have thought in years past.
The other piece to that is how many young guys can they bring into the mix? They drafted 2 other players in the first round this past year. I think they have a couple of college guys. Is it Yzerman and Nelson? Do you think any of these guys will join the Islanders?
Just from the look of how this year has gone, I think Victor Eklund, who was one of those picks that they got from Montreal in the Dobson deal, he's come over after a pretty solid season in the Swedish league. I think he's already got 5 points in the AHL in a few games. He's a little guy at 19 years old, but a really creative playmaker on the wing. So this is, kind of what I'm talking about. If, they've got Cal Ritchie, who's had a pretty nice season, about 30 points, bounced around the lineup a little bit. Obviously, we know about Schaefer, but the forward group could use a little bit of youth in there and a little bit of direction to go around these centers that I feel like we know what they're going to look like down the middle, which is over 30, very solid, very dependable, but maybe not super dynamic. So obviously on the wings are places you can work with that. Cole Yzerman just left BU. He's been at the AHL for a little bit. I don't know if he's going to be able to start the year with the big club, but certainly in the mix. Danny Nelson went back to college. He's a center, so I think he's projecting more as a bottom 6 guy. So I think it's going to have to be some moves where they target some younger guys, maybe some guys coming off of, still in their RFA years, giving up some assets. It's a tall task for Matthew Darche. I think when you hire a guy like Peter DeBoer, he's not coming in to win in year 2 or year 3 at the end of his deal. He's coming in to win now, which is what he's done everywhere he's been. And this roster has to be kind of reflective of a team that can win now. So, it'd be great to see 1 or 2 of these young guys pop in, but I think young guys on other teams that are maybe a little bit more established is what Matthew Darche will be looking at this summer.
Arthur, really appreciate your time. Enjoy the game tonight. Thanks for doing this.
You got it, guys. Thanks a lot.
Arthur. And get rid of that Rangers hat back there, will you? Thanks, pal. The Islanders are going to be a fascinating look tonight, eh? Brand new coach. And
what do they have left, and what's reality on their situation?
They're 3 points back, and they have 4 games to go.
Yikes.
Probably should win 4. Leafs released a statement today.
Hold on. Before you do that, can I just follow up on this Islanders thing? He mentioned 2 names that could be available in the offseason. Pelech, who very good defenseman, and Barzal. Those are interesting names. Like, you're talking about bigger names and creative things teams can do this offseason. I do say that with the Leafs in mind.
Oh, my gosh. Barzal's huge.
You want to change your possession numbers. Yep. He has the puck. Anyway, sorry, Sam.
Leafs released a statement today. I'll read it, which will be butchered, but then you guys can kind of comment on it after if you want. We appreciate the interest in the Maple Leafs head of hockey operations search. Neil Glassberg, president of the coaches agency, has been retained to assist in the search. The organization's top priority is to respect the integrity of the process and we will not be providing updates, confirmations on potential candidates during the process. We're pleased by the progress to date and will provide a formal update once the search is complete.
Yeah.
All right. It's kind of clear.
I guess they're trying to be like, there's no conflict of interest here. It's all above board.
Yeah, I didn't get.
No.
I didn't get that. I just got that.
You kind of knew
Keith Pelly saying, "Don't call me. Call Neil." Okay, I'm not taking any calls here.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
And yeah, I don't think they really. I don't know. Maybe they addressed it, the conflict of interest. Maybe they didn't. I didn't get a sense
they're
of it.
respecting the integrity of the process.
Well, the integrity is that we're not telling you who we're talking to.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is, of course,
duh.
And
At least
honestly,
just leave us
like,
be.
I'm not even sure why they felt like they needed to tell people that they were going to get a search. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it keeps everybody going to Keith Pelly, right? Because he's busy. He's got other teams. He's a CEO, right? It's just not about Keith Pelly for the next month or 6 weeks, whatever it takes to find somebody. This is not my full-time
You're saying
job.
at their point just to be like, this is not to bother Keith about every day.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm sure people will find a way to get bent out of shape about that statement because everything with the Leafs gets turned into that, but I'm pretty certain that was pretty normal.
Yeah, that looked normal to me.
Before we go, definitely want to mention that we had a full day, me and you, Sammy.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. After our golf, we went and saw Mark Farah, who's got the best Toronto Maple Leaf collection I've ever seen my whole life.
Oh, look at these two guys.
It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible in terms of what he has, Sammy.
I am still in complete awe of what we saw yesterday. It's the most.
What's that?
That's the wreckage from Bill Barilko's plane.
Yeah, almost 70 years ago.
That's the most incredible piece of memorabilia I've ever heard of.
The stuff that you're looking around in his basement, and it's like there's the three of us. You're looking around, and your eyes dart everywhere, and there's something to be seen every time you look somewhere else. Like you look at the roof, there's like, there's sticks in the roof. Yeah. Like it's unbelievable. It's mind blowing. It's got to be the greatest collection of memorabilia I've ever seen by far.
Those old sweaters too. Even Johnny Bower
game used jerseys.
Yeah. I'm sure the weight of those jerseys compared to this probably weighs 10 current jerseys.
So you can pull a picture of Johnny Bower in his prime.
Yeah.
And you could see a puck mark in the black and white.
Oh, yeah.
And you could see the puck mark on the jersey that he has.
I don't know if you remember, but I once put a used Bob Bourne behind us one day, and someone contacted me and said, "Hey,
I want it." And
I've photo matched the puck mark on the elbow to this picture of him lifting the cup. And someone had it dialed. Wow. This is it's real deal, that world. It's, Darren Ravel started that Collect or whatever, and it's
But it was really great to hear his just everything. He was so passionate. And I will say that
love isn't a strong enough word.
Right. He has stalker vibes for it.
He loves it.
That's awesome.
He loves his Toronto Maple Leafs. He loves its history, the culture. You want Toronto Maple Leaf culture? We just visited it.
Make him the president.
It's funny. It's been a really down year for the Leafs, and we've been coming in here and crapping on them every day, and I'm a little bit down on them. I don't wear my Leafs hat as much. I walked in there and I was like, yeah, this is why I love this team. He had so many from my era, he McGillney, Steve Tom, all these unbelievable game-worn jerseys, Sundins, everything. I'm like, yeah, this is why I loved it.
Hey, what happened? We had Steve Thomas on our show twice in the first 2 months of our program.
Swore.
F-bombs both times. Haven't heard from him in 5 years. Can we get Stubbs back?
He's retired. I think he's retired. Listen,
he's retired from Leafs Takes?
Give him a follow on Instagram. Yeah. It's Toronto Maple Leaf Guy.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
And you'll see some amazing pictures. So our thanks again to Mark.
Quickly, before we go,
yep.
Leaf line tomorrow. I want to remember to get people to call in tomorrow. Yeah. Leafs line, 416-413-4141, 416-413-4141.
You want some help going through them?
No. I got it dialed pretty good. Have you ever been disappointed? I feel like I'm pretty good.
Sorry, just one last thing.
Yeah.
Masters today.
Oh, yeah.
It's just
by the way, talking to Chris Hadfield and the Masters being on the same day is one of the greatest days of my life.
Anyways, Rory McIlroy leading the Masters.
No big deal.
I would say if you're a Rory McIlroy fan, he usually starts out very slowly. And the fact that he shot a 67 on day one is pretty good for the chances for him. Anyways,
indeed. All right, tonight, New York Islanders.
Tverberg. No.
Tverberg. Luke Hames. Arturs Aktiamov.
Are they all, we forgot to ask Arthur, are they all past the John Tavares booing?
Oh, no way.
No way? Forever?
Forever. Of course, forever.
Wow.
You think they wouldn't? Like they're going to be like, oh yeah, the Long Island fans are like, we're over it now. Like, come on.
Out of my system.
I don't think they forget.
Yeah.
I don't think they forget.
All right, we'll keep an eye on that.
Yeah. So,
and apparently Leafs fans can scout the Islanders roster tonight because Arthur tells us there's some available players there for next year.
Yeah.
All right. Still plenty on the Real Kyper and Bourne show, including Colonel Chris Hadfield in T-minus 5 minutes. Did you get that
All right,
reference?
that was well done.
Not bad?
That was very good.
All right. And Brian Lawton will stop by 5:30. He's got some info on Sonny Mena.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. We can get some thoughts out of Brian Lawton as well. Plenty more. Do not go away. All right, let's get her going. It's the National Hour on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. We're live on Sportsnet. Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver, Sportsnet 960 in Calgary, and streaming always on Sportsnet Plus. If you miss our show, can't catch it live, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube, where we always appreciate a thumbs up. In the next few minutes, we'll welcome in Colonel Chris Hadfield, former astronaut, now bestseller. See him on the commercials all the time.
Yeah, man.
Huge hockey fan. And, of course, there's something going on right now in space,
Yeah, lots
which we're all excited about.
I actually can't believe we're doing that. I've never met two guys
I'm so excited.
guys are the least qualified.
I feel so out of my
I'm
element.
going to
You're
be an
at least
astronaut in
qualified.
the next few minutes. It's been awesome. And Brian Lawton will stop by. Before we get things started, just want to shout out to a personal friend, an ex-teammate, Todd Ellick, who kind of played minor hockey with briefly here in Toronto, and then we ended up playing in North Bay together, and he went and had a great career, including 30 goals with the Kings, Oilers, Sharks, Bruins, if I'm missing any other team. But he's in a battle right now with cancer, and he's watching right now out of Saskatchewan. So
Nice.
just a big shot at I know you're going to fight this thing right to the right
Yeah, good
right
luck.
from the get-go here,
All our
Todd. So
support.
all our support from the Real Kyper and Bourne Show.
Absolutely.
All right, you got your astronaut questions lined up?
Yeah, kinda. You know, I do think that there is something to be said for interviewing someone when you genuinely have a lack of knowledge about the subject matter. It's almost a good thing. It's like, just here's a basic question. Please make me less dumb. That's kind of my goal here. And to find out how you make so many good decisions to become an astronaut, so many good decisions, and then you're a Leafs fan. How do you go through your whole life continually doing the right thing, but so clearly erred in such a big life decision? So we'll get to him in a few moments.
If I'm not, maybe I'm wrong. I thought maybe there was some story about him potentially being in space or coming back from space during Game 7 of 2013. I don't know if that's true or not.
Don't be making stuff up.
I just remember that.
Run
in
it through the Google machine.
I remember that in
comes out
my
of your mouth
mind.
when he joins us.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
This hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. In the meantime, a whole slate of games. It's kind of crazy on who's in and who's out here. I mean, I like the interest. Of course, it's great, right?
Yep.
Because that's what you want, right? But it's still so hard for teams to jump.
Yeah.
And Ottawa has been hot as a firecracker, and they're in, of course. But think about what they needed to grind through to get there. And Columbus, they were as good as anybody down the stretch here. I know the last 5 or 6 games got ugly, but it just goes to show you how hard it is.
Yeah, it is brutal. There's just such a glut of teams there right now. Teams outside the playoff standings, this is Columbus, Detroit, the Islanders, the Capitals, have 90, 89, 89, 89 points, all just sitting there with 92 being the cutoff. So anyone could still get hot. Boston's pretty much set. Yeah, they're set. Pittsburgh's set.
And
Flyers and Sens looking good.
you mentioned Sens. I mean, shout out Thomas Chabot. Thomas Chabot returning to the lineup tonight against the Florida Panthers 2 weeks after a broken arm, boys. 2 weeks. That's unbelievable.
I think this guy is undergoing one of the greater reputational changes of any defenseman. Gone from being he's not number one, he's not worth that contract, and now he's a pivotal part of a Ottawa team, a well-rounded defenseman playing through injury, and they love him there. Sens fans love him.
And I think maybe you said this last time we talked about it, but I was looking at the playoff matchups if they started today. Sens, Carolina. All three of us going to pick Sens in that series?
I probably wouldn't, but mostly because I know you two would pick Ottawa.
I think Sens all day.
We said a month ago that if the Sens get in,
look out.
You're not going to want to face
You can't look at Carolina and go, I'm not sure about their goaltending while picking Ottawa.
I mean, Allmark is famously awful in the playoffs. Awful.
Allmark versus Freddie.
Oh, my God. An immovable object is an unstoppable force.
The movable object.
Oh, yeah, a movable object and an unstoppable force.
A stoppable force? I don't know how that works.
Yeah, anyways.
We will find out.
Utah tonight. Nashville can clinch a playoff spot.
All right.
for the next.
Take care. Let's focus on the good stuff here.
All right, let's welcome him in as promised, as advertised. Colonel Chris Hadfield, former astronaut and now bestseller. Wow, man. This is so cool. I hope I don't pull a Chris Farley here and just mess this whole thing up. How are you, Chris?
I'm doing well. How are you doing? Nice to see you and nice to be joining in with you a bit here.
Yeah, we can start this place, this segment in so many ways, but let's just start it with, like, how can we get so close to the moon after 50 years, but we can't get Vancouver, Toronto into the playoffs? Calgary, can't get any of them in. What is, like, please, is there some equation we're missing here?
Gosh, well, look at last year. I mean, that's not a position for the future, but playoffs, we were the second best team in the league in Toronto, and we just came within so many hairs breadth of moving on and making it into the whole thing. So this was not a good year, but and you just got to accept no team, wins the Stanley Cup every single year. But yeah, I feel the frustration myself. And what's the recipe? I don't know. If someone knew the answer to that question, then they'd do that every year, but nobody does. So it's just the way it is.
Well, Colonel, thank you very much for joining us. It is an honor for us to have you here. I can't help but, wonder how busy you've been here, as the Artemis II is currently on its way back from the moon right now. And we have another Canadian up there, and Jeremy Hansen. Very cool for all of us. I think there's a great interest around it right now. What is your perspective on what we're witnessing and what this all means, this latest trip around the moon?
It's just the coolest thing that this is happening right now. And 4 friends of mine climbed on board a rocket ship a week ago and blasted off out of Florida, swung this huge orbit around the world, and then fired this old space shuttle engine. The rocket that took them up had some pieces in it, reused pieces from the rockets that took me to space. Wow. And then they fired that shuttle engine. It got them going fast enough to coast all the way to the moon. The pictures that they sent, but also I think our technology is so much better now for them to share on board what it's like. Mm-hmm. People get to see, how they're living and that they're just, capable, competent, but just regular people. And then the stuff we learned about the moon, because the cameras are so much better now than they were, and now they're falling 400,000 kilometers with the gravity of the Earth pulling them faster and faster and faster until tomorrow night they're going to come blistering into the Earth's atmosphere at about maybe even slightly faster than anybody ever has in the past. That, to me, is amazing. And the fact that there's a Canadian on board, Jeremy Hansen from small town Ontario, is on board and a vital part of that crew. And I think everybody should be amazed by this human accomplishment, but really prideful of the fact that Jeremy's on board.
You're watching and listening Colonel Chris Hadfield, former astronaut, bestseller author. Now, Final Orbit is his latest book, and we'll get into it for sure, Chris. But you just mentioned Jeremy, and tell me what it's like to be like a former astronaut or an alumnus. I don't know. Can you compare it to like a pro hockey player taking a rookie under his wing? The relationship. How do you compare that sort of relationship from sports to space?
I think there is a lot of that reality of stepping from where you all started, maybe getting into like the Marlies at that level, like the goalie who's playing tonight, right? He's played overseas, he's come over, he's played with the Marlies, but now it's about to be a very different thing. And you got to learn a bunch of it for yourself. But at the same time, you want to listen to the people who have actually been there. And the guys that just went to the moon and back, they talked to the folks that had been there. They read the books. They, the folks that are still alive that went around the moon, that's a huge resource. They talked to the guy in mission controls, name's Gene Kranz, who was, Houston, when they said, Houston, we have a problem and failure is not an option. That's all Gene Kranz. They talked to him. And I think that's sort of the same thing. You've got to be able to perform on your own. You got to have the skills. You've got to be able to make the right decisions when things are happening. But it sure does help you succeed if you can learn from the old heads around. And so I think those parallel. I can imagine how nervous. What's his name? Akhtiamov is going to be. He's played at a pretty high level, but he's about my size, a little over 6 foot, 175 pounds. He's not some monster. He's just a guy, and it's not even his native country, and he's going to give it his best shot tonight. So I think there's a bunch of parallels there. And then once you've done it a bunch, then you were standing on other people's shoulders, but now you're sort of becoming those shoulders to help other people. And, that's how a lot of the people on the Leafs, I think, look at the other teammates. We got a lot of new guys there, right? So I think there's a lot of that feeling.
Chris, when you're up there and you're looking back at planet Earth, do you have sort of like an existential moment about like what it means to be human and all that? I'm partially asking because I know you are a Leafs fan, and I believe you were re-entering the atmosphere while wearing a Leafs jersey while they lost Game 7 to the Boston Bruins in 2013. So when you're up there, are you able to separate, okay, this doesn't matter that much, there's something bigger going on here?
Yeah, so that's all exactly right. But I was about to, I was the pilot of a space capsule returning from orbit, and that means you're going 8 kilometers a second, and the only way you slow down is by friction with the atmosphere. So it's going to get blisteringly hot, and you actually fly this little capsule down through the atmosphere. And if you fly it a little too shallow, then you'll skip out of the atmosphere. If you fly a little too steep, then you'll dig way in and burn yourself up. So it's really careful. So you got to pay attention. But I knew that the Leafs were playing. They'd made it to Game 7. And I'm like, what can I do to support my team? And I'd got the Canadian Space Agency to ship up a Leafs jersey up there. And I thought, well, it's against the rules, but who's going to really care? And what are they going to do? Fire me? So I put it on underneath my spacesuit. And I thought it's the least I can do. And you may not know this part of the story, but so came down through the atmosphere, and vehicle behaved itself. We landed where we were supposed to land. Rescue helicopters were there. They drag you out of the capsule because your body's a bit of a wreck after 6 months without gravity. Now and also the doctors want to study you, and they plunk you down in a chair. And then this is in 2013. They had a sat phone handy, and nobody knew the answer. So they handed the sat phone to me to talk to my wife. And I'm like, hey, love, how you doing? She says, hey, that's great. Welcome back to Earth. And my next question to her was, how did the Leafs do? And she said, oh, they lost. And so it was part of that was my first ability to find out what actually happened.
Welcome back to Earth. Everything's still off.
Yeah. And for the record, all our wives welcome us back to Earth too, right? Colonel, just in terms of what we're truly learning now about the moon and where are we going moving forward here? Like, am I going to be able to buy a condo soon up there?
No, but I think if you're trying to predict what's going on with the moon, look at Antarctica for the last 100 years. Like 100 years ago or 110, it was people died all the time just trying to get to Antarctica. Our technology was really primitive, sailing ships. And then we invented steamships so we could control our destiny a little better. And then we invented airplanes so we could get to Antarctica and back. And a place that would kill us 110 years ago, now, because we've advanced and we've decided this is a scientific place worth going, all sorts of countries cooperate. And we have thousands of people living in Antarctica, including a small contingent living at the South Pole, and Canadians are there. And about 100,000 tourists a year show up on ships, on cruise ships going by. And so I think we're kind of back in the 1890, 1900 phase of the moon, where we can just barely get there, but we understand that it's a really interesting place. And we now need to figure out how are we going to start settling there safely so that then it can become part of the long-term human experience. And we're in that transition. And Jeremy's flight, Artemis here, is the first transitioning from exploration to settlement. That's what's going on right now. And they were proving the equipment, and they got the great big test tomorrow night when they come back into the atmosphere, and that heat shield's got to protect them. But assuming things go okay, then the next couple missions will start putting people on the moon, and then we'll build an infrastructure there and set up an Earth-Moon system. That's where we are. Eventually, you'll be able to get a condo there, but it might be one of your kids that's the right age to do that, not you.
How does Canada fit into the global, I don't want to call it a space race, but like how are we on funding compared to how we used to be? What direction is it moving?
Real positive direction right now. We've had to rely on the rest of the world to put our satellites in space, which is okay if everybody's playing nice. But as soon as someone decides no, we're kind of helpless, and that's not a good place to be. And so we just recently committed with 2 different launch sites, several companies, to develop our own ability to put stuff into orbit. Because you don't even think about it really, but we count on space navigation for GPS, space weather to give us, all the life-saving information about big storms, communications, understanding Canada's territory, all of that stuff, timing. It's really integrated into society, even internet from space. And there's a lot of Canadian companies that I work with, that I'm helping, I'm on the board of, or I'm an advisor to, that are really moving into that whole business realm. And it's a huge business globally. And Canada could do more, and we're in the process of doing more. And I think it's the right thing to be doing.
The latest book in the Chris Hadfield collection is Final Orbit. What can we expect? Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, I write thriller fiction. This was the best-selling book in Canada in the fall. And I take real history, and then I figure out, what if just a couple little things had changed? What might have just happened? And that's where my plot room comes. But it's almost all real characters, real events, and then things go drastically wrong. And Final Orbit, it was the final launch of the Apollo program, when the Americans were docking with the Russians, the Soviets and their Soyuz spaceship. That all really happened. But then from all of my years in the business, I know what the things that could have gone wrong. I make one of those things go wrong, and then it all cascades from there. And I add in a whole third rail of plot, because a lot of people don't know what was going on with the Chinese space program then, of what just might have happened. And one of the amazing characters in history, a Chinese, kind of the father of their space program, he figures large in the book. And yeah, the book's done superbly well. In fact, just before I was talking to you, I was talking to a production house about my books, getting an option for TV and movies and stuff. So yeah, it's all fun stuff. But I'm just delighted that not only do people really enjoy Final Orbit, but they're all clamoring like impatiently for me to write. It's like if you win the Stanley Cup, the next question they're going to be, are you going to win it again next year? And so yeah, people want the next book, and so I'm writing the 4th book in the series right now.
Oh, that's very cool. Well, congrats on the success there. Just one last one for me. So tomorrow, our astronauts return back to Earth. And you mentioned that when you got out, it's hard on your body. I know if you get off a treadmill, it still feels like you're moving for a little bit. I can't imagine suddenly experiencing gravity again. What are our astronauts in for when they get back to land?
And just to add to that, Chris, just how emotional it is for these guys coming home.
Yeah, both those things. It's really physical, because weightlessness is the ultimate laziness. Not only do you not have to hold your head up or lift a finger, but your blood doesn't have any weight. So your heart doesn't even have to lift the blood from your feet to your head anymore. So when they come back, they're going to re-experience the rudeness of gravity, especially as they come in the atmosphere and they get crushed in their seats for a while. But and they'll be dizzy as can be. it almost feels like when you've had a really bad cold or a flu and your head's been full and you've been sick and laying in bed, and then afterwards you feel kind of weak and tottery. They're going to feel like that for a while. But I think the psychological side is going to be bigger for them, because before they left, only kind of space people knew who they were. But I mean, they're going to be naming schools after Jeremy now,
Right.
And he is rightfully a really accomplished public figure now. And what he has done, nobody has ever left Earth orbit except the 24 Americans in the Apollo program. No other human, no Soviet, no Russian, no Chinese astronaut, no other country has had one of their people leave Earth orbit and go to the moon, except the United States, who's already done it, and Canada. Mm-hmm. So it's a big thing nationally, and obviously it's a huge thing in Jeremy's life and his family's life, personally and professionally. And so he's going to have to integrate that into who he is, and deal with all of the extra attention that comes along with that. But he's a great guy, and he's very well grounded. And if you look at him, he's more of a defenseman than a forward for sure. He's a big body. When Jeremy was going through pilot selection, he actually shaved the bottom of his shoes off and took the heels off his boots so that he would be a little bit shorter.
Really?
So he wouldn't stand out as being this great big guy and get disqualified from flying F-18s. So he was legal, but he wanted to make sure no one just looked and said, "Nope, you're too big." He's going to have to now put up with all that public scrutiny. But at the same time, he's a great guy, got a great family, and he's going to wear it really well. And he's someone, I think, right now there's a lot of uncertainty. It's really nice to have somebody like that with a big Buzz Lightyear jaw who's truly can put his reputation where his accomplishments were, and everybody can look at what Canada just did and feel a lot of pride and an inspiration in a time that we could use some more inspiration.
That's a big difference from the lighter guys that I used to play hockey with that hit the dumbbell between their cheeks.
To the inside of their thigh.
Come on, a little heavier. Hey, listen, you got any free time? Are you interested in the Leaf job? I know Neil Glassberg. I can get you your resume in. I think you're smart enough.
I heard that the new GM was actually on this call right now. And a guy somewhere, later in his career, got a lot of experience, multiple teams, and a lot of good insight. I think, have they been calling your number? Do they have your number? I think they should give you a call.
They lost that one a long time ago, Colonel. So appreciate your time in all of this. It is truly a great time for Canada and their space program. It was always led by you, and it's wonderful to see Jeremy now following right behind you, and continued success with the books.
Let me interrupt. My wife calls Jeremy Chris 2.0. I'm not sure that's a compliment.
That is awesome.
About that, actually.
Awesome.
You're a pioneer,
all right,
though.
look forward to seeing you down at Scotiabank Arena again soon, pal. Thanks for doing this.
Great. I'll be at the game Monday. And,
beautiful.
Hopefully we'll see you there. Take care.
That is the
Thanks
one,
so
the
much.
only Colonel Chris Hadfield. That was really cool.
What an honor.
That was sick, boys.
That was super sick.
God, I wish I was in space for Game 7.
Shoot me into space after Game 7.
If they could have been like
No
rocket
return
launch,
plan.
right there, I would have hit it, boys.
Artemis 3, let's go. No return plan.
Let's go.
Yeah, when that ball left Miguel Rojas' bat, I would have hit that same button.
Oh, jeez.
Game time, boys?
Game time.
All right. It's game time, presented by Bet365, an official partner of the NHL. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Masters or hockey?
Masters.
Okay, so we don't have the first round in the books, but lots of big names have finished. Rory McIlroy tied for the lead with Sam Burns at -5. Rory McIlroy has shot all the way up to plus 300 favorite to win this. I believe he started in the 12 to 13 range. So, I mean, it's still not a bad number.
That's a decent number,
for a guy
I'm
that's
surprised.
leading. Scotty Scheffler is right there at plus 350, and then it drops all the way down to plus 850 with Justin Rose. Looking at Xander Schauffele, you look pretty good today. Still don't mind that number. So
Feels like if you did Rory and Scheffler,
you might be in good shape.
Right.
You might be in good
and
shape.
you still
with those
come out
guys.
on top pretty good there.
I'm feeling pretty stupid having zero investment in either of those guys after watching the first round. I was like, maybe
it's Ludwig Oberg's year. Yeah.
maybe overthought this one a little bit. So that's that. There's also 14 games on tap tonight. A couple big ones. Senators looking to really try to stamp their ticket tonight. They are monster faves against the Florida Panthers. Minus 340 tonight against the Florida Panthers on home ice. Plus 270 for the Florida Panthers who have nobody playing tonight. Winnipeg still trying to fight a way to get to that final playoff spot. Probably not going to happen. Minus 110 on the money line. And later on, LA continuing their march to get the Leafs a second round pick. Minus 280 on the money line against the putrid Vancouver Canucks, who are plus 230. That was Game Time, presented by Bet365, an official partner of the NHL. Must be 19 plus, Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
Okay, let's take a quick break because we got Brian Lawton when we come back. Also, I don't know if you guys saw the video put out by the Edmonton Oilers staff on the trading at the deadline.
Yep.
Interesting conversation they had in that. I want to get into that with you guys as well.
Sounds good.
So plenty more when we return to Real Kyper and Bourne. A reminder, this hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. Let's welcome in Brian Lawton, former NHL player, agent, general manager. The only thing he hasn't done is go to the moon. We just had a colonel on, Lots. You're following an astronaut. You okay with that?
Oh, we got no
sound? All right, we'll get on that.
It's like no sound.
But I'd be speechless too. I couldn't. I wouldn't be able to talk.
Sorry, I'm losing you.
Didn't they lose? Didn't the spaceship lose contact for 40 minutes?
Yeah, when they went behind the moon.
Oh my God.
Hey, bad reception, eh?
That is the scariest possible sentence you could say to me.
Yeah.
Oh, we lost touch with Earth
Yeah.
because we were stuck behind the moon.
Yeah, once we get out from behind the moon, it should clear up.
Clearly, they didn't have Rogers.
No, they had Rogers dialed in.
Exactly.
Oh, boy.
Exactly.
Oh, no.
We're going
Have
to try one more time.
I don't know.
All right, we'll check his audio and we'll get to him.
Okay.
What do you want to know? What do you want to know from Lots today?
Uh,
Lots of stuff.
You know, he's an interesting guy because, as we mentioned, he's worn so many hats.
Mm-hmm.
And just his overall thought on analytics versus analytic darling versus hockey guy.
Yeah, he's been around in different spots. It's funny now. I wonder how a lot of those meetings have changed in recent years, like arbitration hearings. I know there's some rules of what stats you can use and what stats you can't use when you're doing ARB stuff. But yeah, I think all the conversations behind the scenes are different now in a more analytically driven era. How we doing? Oh, we're talking.
Talk amongst yourselves, Sammy?
No, I'm just sorry. Sometimes I forget that I am the producer of the show. Just talking to Derek. He's going to reconnect when he get back. So there's having a microphone issue.
Okay, we'll get on it.
Let's skip to some of our end of show.
All right. Just before the break, I had mentioned to you that we're seeing it a lot more. Oh, we got Brian now.
Okay.
All right, let's try again.
Okay, we're good.
Lots. Did you blow us off because you're following an astronaut?
Never.
Yes.
Never. Are you kidding me? Don't never blow you off.
I'm sure you're well aware of the situation in Toronto in terms of looking for a new general manager, president. We don't know for sure what they're looking for or how they'll announce either one or two or as many new executives as they want. But it does go around in terms of the conversation now of analytical darling versus the hockey guy. And you've been around the game a long time. And where are you on the analytics and how far do you go back? I know in our conversations in the past, you have talked to me about analytics and, including a history with maybe Sonny in the past that maybe a lot of people don't know about. But let's start with you when you were introduced to analytics and go from there.
I can tell you exactly when I really was sold on analytics, and people will be shocked by this, but after taking over Tampa and seeing how we operated as an organization, which was pretty typical to most of the teams, you got to go back to 2009. I'd worked about 3 months. I was not very pleased with where we're at as an organization. And I made the decision at that time to start looking for somebody on the analytics side. There was two things that really stuck out to me. One was analytics and one was technology. So I went out, I found a guy, his name was Michael Peterson, still works for the Tampa Bay Lightning, has been instrumental in many of the great things that organization has done, had really never seen a hockey game before we hired him, but we took it upon ourselves to work with him, introduce him to the sport, train him, and turn him loose. That was 2009. When Stevie got him, Stevie thought about letting him go, Yzerman, and thankfully he didn't. This is what Tom Curvers told me. And the rest is history. Michael's done a fantastic job for them. Fast forward about 4 years from then, I was representing a guy that was buying a ownership stake in the NHL, bought a 30% piece in the Minnesota Wild, Matt Holsizer. He had introduced me to two young, incredibly talented analytics gurus. Their names were Sonny Mehta and Tim Barnes. And that's really when I started to get a look behind the curtain at another level as to what's capable out there.
Tim Barnes, old Vic Ferrari, the blog boys back in the day. That's great. So I guess from there, how much of this sort of stuff, how much value did you find in what you learned about it? And I guess your take on how it can and should be used today.
Yeah. My take on it very early, to be honest with you, having been an agent and having passed on really good players and considering myself a really good scout. But I can distinctly remember going watching Duncan Keith and go, nah, I don't think so. Mm-hmm. Really nice college player, a little bit on a smaller side, liked his quickness, but, like going through all the things you do as a scout and then him having the career he had, and it never left me. I'll be honest with you. That was a long time ago. Kind of the same thing on another person that everybody will know in Toronto for different reasons, Kevin Bieksa. Another guy that I thought, well, he's good, but he wasn't signed by Vancouver. He was on an AHL contract, wasn't sure. And in those moments, even when I look back on it, that's when I was convinced that, look, I'm a pretty good scout by standards, but there has to be a better way to evaluate this. And that's what led me into analytics. And that's really where I formed my views on what the best way is to run a club. And I've been sold, honestly, for about 8 years now. And if you look at the history of what's happened, you have Washington, Carolina, of course, Tampa, Florida, teams like Colorado making great strides in this area. I can look at an organization and I can tell you after about 15 minutes of research, whether or not analytics is actually truly embedded in the organization. Are they using it? After everything that happened with Toronto, I went back and looked at the decisions and went through this very analytically with a lot of the resources that are now at teams' disposal. And it was very clear to me that even though Toronto has this incredible analytics department, has these incredible resources, ownership spent on this stuff, but it clearly wasn't embedded in the final decision-making authority. And what happened in the end, and it happens a lot for the teams that may say they're analytical but really aren't, is the data loses every time to pressure, network, external forces. And it's not that hard to spot.
So can you look at the numbers and be comfortable to say that if the Leafs were more aggressive in using that information, they would have made a difference of 5, 6, 7 points? I mean, is that the difference between the Leafs making the playoffs and not?
Yeah, it's more than that. Some of it is foundational. When you're trading picks and stuff, it'll lead everybody to the same place. A lot of people don't know. And this is a crazy far out thing to say, but it's true. Long before there was Cap Geek or Cap Wages or Puckpedia, I basically created that in Octagon. Every single thing those companies do to this day, I laugh because it's already been done. And it's been going on for a long time. That's always the way I wanted to look at it. I wanted to have more data, wanted to understand. This isn't a pre-salary cap world. And occasionally I have somebody say, well, why would you have done that pre-salary cap? I did it because everybody had budgets. And as an agent, I wanted to know how much money people had to spend. And every agent that worked for Octagon back in the early 2000s was directed in every call to please ask the GM what's their budget and how much money they have. And we just built out depth charges, filled in that information. It wasn't as accurate because we had to guess, but that really, truly, I could show you those files on my computer right now. The entire league ranked with time on ice as a proxy for where you fit into a depth chart. Like it was very, very specific how much each team was spending on D, forwards. This is long before any of that came about. That's the way I see the game. There's one reason, guys, why I see it that way. I'm one of the few people that ran an NHL team that was not trained by the people that were there. I didn't spend 8, 9, 10 years as an assistant GM, which is pretty much the accepted path to becoming a general manager.
My path was different. I retired as a player. I knew I wanted to be a GM. I figured out I needed to learn the business side of hockey. That's why I became an agent. I had two goals. One was to do that and eventually become a GM. The other one was just to help players. It was a poor level of representation way back when. And that's it. So that's led me to where I am now. I've been down that journey much farther than people would ever know. And my final conclusion, that'll shock you guys. And this is from somebody that was a GM before, loved it, would love to work for a team, is that my role in the hockey operations department is not to be the GM anymore. There's too many guys too specialized at it on the analytics side that are going to overtake the league very, very quickly here. My role is more architectural. My role, with my background, having been in technology for really the past 15 years, having just completed an AI build here for our company, Sports Digita, I understand how it works. And I understand as a former hockey person how it best fits into a hockey operations department. When I look at the Leafs, there's one glaring error. And it's somewhat tied to and not tied to the past, and that is not having a president. I don't think anybody should have a GM that's unchecked now without the work of a president, somebody to hold them accountable, to make sure standards are applied, to make sure that analytics never falls by the wayside when you're making decisions. It's just too much low-hanging fruit.
Do you want to follow up on that, President?
Yeah. Do you think, Lawton, that there's that this is time sensitive? Because I know there's people sort of vying for the GM role, but it feels like if they're going to do the president thing, that should probably happen sooner.
The craziness to me is that how I've been to. You guys would have no idea how many teams I've interviewed with over the years. It's a difficult process to break through. More than 12 in my career. It's always generally the same. It's somebody that's really not qualified to evaluate me as a general manager. The main purpose of the president is really to hire the GM. They've got to be an expert with a background in hockey. I can't tell you how many people I interviewed with that I used to go to those interviews thinking, I wonder if they're going to ask me about this section in the CBA. And it would always take me about 3 minutes to realize they've never looked at a CBA. They don't understand the rules. They wouldn't know what to ask me. But that's just the way it was done. It was very network driven. I think that's all going to change. I think it's odd to hire somebody. The way the world works now, I get calls from a lot of headhunters and search firms. And they generally ask me what I think about people that they're writing a profile or a file on. I kind of think it's laughable.
So, Lots, the situation in Toronto, if, when everybody hears the name Sonny Maeda and New Jersey now, are they in a race with Toronto? He's going to go somewhere. We know that. But is it risky for the Leafs to name him first if they don't get this president that you're talking about?
I think it's hard to evaluate him, yes. Do you know what to ask him? Do you know what predictive models he's using? Do you know what his surplus value models are on players? Forget about the analytics people talk about. There's a dark web out there. It's not what's measurable. And you always hear me say this, Kyper. It's what's meaningful. It's just like it's not who's right in these hockey operations departments. Is it analytics or the eye test? It's what's right. This stuff has been so crystal clear to me for a long time. I just looked at a presentation this morning. I won't say the team it was for. I could easily make it so you'd guess, but I won't. Everything I wrote was essentially exactly correct. I know that sounds self-serving, and I don't mean it that way. It's just a factual record. That particular team had a presentation from me that outlined everything that needed to happen. And when you look at the teams that have won 6, 7 of the last 8 Stanley Cups, whether it's Washington or Tampa or Florida, Carolina's a great analytics team, but they haven't won. I could explain to you why if we had a longer show. What element they're missing. I won't go into that. But Eric Tulsky, I think, is brilliant. I think their organization's incredibly well run, and they're going to break through when they crack the last code, in my opinion. But the other teams that have won, they're all running the same program now. People just woke up, and predominantly because Toronto shouted it. So I give Keith Pelly a ton of credit for coming to that conclusion that we can't. Toronto's had an incredible run of talented people that are known in the game and icons, from Lou Lamoriello and Brian Burke and Brendan Shanahan. You know, the list is really impressive. It's not the people they've hired, it's the structure that they've lacked. And the clubs that really take off from here that haven't been rolling out this new program, this mystical program I'm talking about that isn't that hard to figure out, are the ones that understand that architectural point, that go out and get themselves a president that understands technology, that knows how to structure things so that you'll never call everything right. But those teams I'm naming, they make less bad decisions.
And most often than not, probably sitting in a playoff spot.
Most of the time, but this year, you know, Washington and Florida aren't. But they both had some pretty good success, won Stanley Cups. Washington lost Pierre-Luc Dubois.
Yeah, injuries for sure.
That was devastating. Florida loses Barkov. That's devastating. Those teams are tired. Certainly Florida, 3 Stanley Cup finals in a row. That's has wear and tear. This stuff is not rocket science. Pardon the pun. It's pretty elementary. It's just
we had rocket science, buddy, at the top of the hour.
Yes.
Lots.
I'm sure you did.
Great stuff, man. Thanks for doing this.
My pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Appreciate it, Lots. Talk to you soon.
Brian Lawton. Big fan.
Yeah. Listen, this is it's funny, the conversation around the Leafs opportunities and the directions they could go.
Yeah. You had an article today.
I did.
I think we kind of had similar articles today.
Did we?
Yeah,
that's like
because
2 weeks in a row. You guys.
We have spent some time together.
Yeah, I know. I think we just start like, okay, maybe I can write an article off of what we talked about.
Well, the reality is, like, you know, you sit here and you hash stuff out with you guys for an hour and you form an opinion. That's what you write about.
I'm less on the Leafs or anybody to just like go and clean up as much as you can and just get it ready for whoever you bring in.
Yeah.
Is just basically the gist of my article today.
Yeah, as in, you know, I think of like a surgeon getting people to like clean up the operation site before they, you know, you bring in the big dog. So like you mean basically find where you have excess.
Well,
get rid of the excess.
Just if you struggled in the scouting, then just get it ready. And whether or not you want to go and find a few people on your own with some of the people that you still trust in the office, or you wait for the new guy, but just know that as soon as he walks in, you got to build me a new scouting department.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
right?
It's interesting. We've never talked about that before. I feel like something triggered your mind on that you're like, all right, that's how
you win. At the end of the day, that's how you win.
Yeah.
Scouting.
Did you want to play the clip from the
the interesting clip that they released, and this is at trade deadline. This is Stan Bowman and his team.
It was a 2-minute clip. I just cut the first 15 seconds of it or whatever, just to get a taste of what it was.
Go behind the scenes.
Yeah, it was behind the scenes. It was their whole brain trust. Jeff Jackson was in there.
And this is
Gretzky,
based on the trade with Chicago.
Yeah, so we can just play that clip. 14 seconds.
Give them our first, then they give us Dickinson at half price, and they give us Doc, and they take Mangiapane. Everything in one deal.
One-stop shop.
That's what I'm trying to. I think that would get Kyle's attention because he's not going to get a first anywhere else.
First of all,
you hate this.
Well,
this is one.
This is like
tentpole of
it's just if you're going to release something, man, it better be like almost good and perfect, right?
As in, like. They are so exceedingly thorough, of all, no one can question your process.
We just played a small clip of that, but it's not real because I don't believe that for 1 second it would have been the same conversation if you didn't know the cameras were going. And I just, to me, I would have liked.
Hold on.
What's that?
You think they're going to have fake conversations about the team?
No, I'm saying that people will be very careful, right? Just be very careful.
Because my take every time I've seen one of those is, God, everyone seems terrified to say anything.
And my exact point is, like, I don't want to see everybody. I don't want to see everybody go, yeah, and yeah. I want to see someone go, I don't really agree with that.
You know, can I get a follow-up on?
Can I get a follow-up? And Stan's line was like,
not going to get a first.
Not going to get a first round anywhere else.
Yeah.
Why not?
And can someone stand up in that meeting and go, if he's not going to get a first round from anyone else, then why are we giving him a first rounder?
Yep.
Right? Mm-hmm. Like, what is the rest of the league telling them about their players that we're missing because we're the only one that's now going to give him a first round?
Yeah, it's tough,
That
right?
to me would have been a better clip to release.
But like, I genuinely believe that, I'm not saying in this instance, but I think those conversations may have happened off-site in a different room, whatever. But to your point, when we get this video clip, it feels like they sat in a big room and the guy who is in charge of all their jobs said, I like this. And everyone went, us too. No? You know, like,
yeah,
it's
that's what I got out of it.
Right.
I just, some of the conversations they're having in there felt like conversations that like we've had.
Totally.
They're like, oh, the energy.
Buddy,
like,
listen,
here, I'll get a
I mean,
pop or
I'm like, I have said that.
After men's league, get some nachos on the table, right? And a couple of beers. That was a conversation that you have with your buds.
100%.
Like, you'd like to see them putting together the piece of their lineup and being like, hey, Dickinson, we can use him like this. And that
show
will
some
alleviate
technology.
Some pressure.
Show a screen.
Someone said 189 hits. I'm like, I would have said that. That's what I would have said.
That's the me.
And then there was that one person that said, well, he had 100.
That's me. That's what I just said.
Right? Yeah, just 149 hits in 30 games.
But that's,
it's like,
at least that's an offer of information where everything else is just kind of, what do you think? I don't know. What do you think? I know that it comes down to
you
the
go
human
first.
factor. I think the greater point we're trying to make is that the clips almost never do it justice. I remember seeing Kevin Adams and the Norris for Cousins trade, and they're like, yeah, the one doctor said Norris is, not hurt or it's not going to be a problem.
Guess what? Kevin may have nailed it.
Well, yeah. Norris has played about 50% of the games since they traded for him, so I'm not going to say
Still
yes to that.
Incredible Kevin Adams story where for like 6 years you think he's like Schleprock from the Flintstones, and then in the 7th year he becomes a genius.
But I still think a lot of where the players came from. Anyway, I don't. But there's another clip where Don Sweeney, where they talk about trading Tyler Seguin years ago. I don't know if you guys remember that one, but it was a very sort of, I don't know, like you just don't like.
I love the one with Marchand. Like, we traded Marsh. Even the guy's like, oh, God.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
What a show today.
Straight from space.
Arthur Staple, Colonel Chris Hadfield, and Brian Lawton. If you're just joining us, go download the show right away. Appreciate everybody hanging around today. We're right back again tomorrow, aren't we? Off the Real Fridays?
I'll check in with Doug, see if he's around.
Mac. Yeah, we haven't had Mac on in a while. Have a great night, everybody.